Have you ever felt completely drained, even after a full night's sleep? Or walked through your day in a haze, surrounded by people, but somehow still disconnected, like you were floating just outside your own life? Maybe you've had moments where your chest feels heavy, your thoughts feel scattered, and nothing around you seems wrong, but nothing feels right either. You try to explain it, stress maybe, hormones, a bad mood, but deep down, you know it's something else. Sometimes it's a sudden wave of anxiety that has no cause. You check your phone, look over your shoulder, scan the room. No danger, no threat. But your body's telling you something, like you're being watched, like you're not alone, even when you are. Other times it's not fear, just emptiness, a sense that you've fallen out of rhythm with the world around you. You try to focus, try to stay present, but your energy keeps slipping through your hands. You can't quite name it, you can't prove it, but you feel it. Something is off, and maybe you felt this more than once. Maybe it's becoming familiar, a low hum in the background of your life, something invisible but persistent, something you've learned to live with, but shouldn't. Because what if these aren't just moods? What if they're not random at all? What if they're signals? What if something beyond your five senses is trying to get your attention? Not every warning comes with noise. Some arrive as silence, as a shift in the air, as a gut feeling you can't explain. And when these feelings keep showing up, when disconnection, unease, or that quiet pressure inside your chest refuses to fade, it's time to ask a deeper question. Where are these signals coming from? What's really causing the sense of disconnection? And most importantly, what happens if we keep ignoring it? Because maybe what you're feeling isn't just inside you. Maybe it's a message, and maybe, just maybe, it's coming from the quantum field itself. You might think of the universe as a vast, empty space filled with stars, planets, matter, and time. But quantum physics has revealed something far stranger and far more intelligent beneath that surface. What we call reality isn't built on solid objects. It's built on invisible patterns of energy, vibrations, fields. At the deepest level, everything you see, your body, the chair you're sitting in, the device you're listening from, is made of atoms. But atoms themselves are 99.999% empty space. What gives them form isn't solidity, it's movement, frequency, a kind of organized vibration happening within something larger. That something is what scientists now call the quantum field. This field isn't a new age concept. It's the foundational idea behind quantum theory itself. In the early 20th century, physicists like Max Planck and Albert Einstein began to uncover the shocking truth. What we call matter is just energy behaving in a certain way. Planck put it bluntly, there is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. So what is the quantum field? Imagine it as an invisible ocean of energy and information that permeates everything. It connects all points in space and time. Every particle, every wave, every potentiality exists within it. But more than that, it is alive. Not alive in the way we understand biology, but responsive, aware, constantly interacting with everything that moves through it, including you. Now here's where it gets personal. This field doesn't just surround you, it responds to you. It reacts to your thoughts, your emotions, your choices. Every moment you are broadcasting a frequency through your beliefs, your mindset, even your posture, and the field picks it up. Then, like a perfect mirror, it reflects that frequency back into your reality. This is why you can't separate your inner state from your outer experience. When you live in constant fear, anxiety, or self-doubt, the field doesn't judge you. It doesn't punish you. It simply echoes what you're putting out. People who carry inner chaos tend to encounter outer chaos. Those who radiate calm tend to create calm around them. It's not magic, it's mechanics. The quantum field functions like a resonant chamber, responding to energetic input with incredible precision. It's always listening, not with ears but with vibration. And this is why you might feel off when you're misaligned. The field starts sending back dissonant signals. You feel it as friction, disconnection, restlessness. Not because the universe is angry, but because the frequency you're sending no longer harmonizes with the path your soul came to walk. So no, you're not just a bystander in a cold, indifferent cosmos. You are a living node of consciousness entangled with a field that feels you, matches you, and reflects you. Which brings us to an even more important realization. You are not waiting for reality to happen to you. You are shaping it energetically with every breath, every thought, every act of presence or absence. And the field, quiet, responsive, exact, is always speaking back. So if the quantum field is always listening, always reflecting, then how does it speak? Not with words, not with lightning bolts from the sky, but through subtle shifts, patterns, energetic ripples that most people overlook because they seem too quiet, too ordinary. And yet these are the earliest signs that something inside you and around you is no longer in resonance. Before your life falls out of balance, before breakdowns or crises appear, the field always whispers. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice it starts with the smallest things: a strange feeling, a loss of inspiration, a glitch in your rhythm, a dream that won't leave you alone. In the next section, we'll explore how these first warnings actually show up, not in dramatic ways, but in subtle recurring disruptions that seem random until they start repeating. Because when you begin to drift out of alignment, the quantum field doesn't shout. It starts by gently pulling your attention toward what you've stopped feeling. And what happens next depends on whether you listen. It never starts with a crash. It doesn't come at you all at once. When you begin to drift out of alignment with the quantum field, the first signs are almost always subtle, easy to miss, easy to dismiss. You might just stop feeling excited about your day. The things you used to love no longer bring you joy. Music doesn't hit the same. Conversations feel empty. Even the food you used to crave tastes a little dull. You're functioning, sure, but there's no spark, just routine, just repetition. Or maybe time starts behaving strangely. Some days feel painfully slow, like you're stuck in molasses. Other days vanish before you realize they've begun. You look at the clock only to realize hours have passed, or barely moved at all. Time seems off because your rhythm is off, and the field around you is already adjusting in response. Sometimes the signals come from your environment. You might notice small things breaking down around you. Devices glitch, lights flicker, your phone freezes for no reason, your watch randomly stops. These aren't just technical issues. They can be energetic reflections, micro disruptions in your field echoing through the material world. You might wake up from strange dreams filled with symbols or people from your past. You might hear the same message over and over again from different sources: an interview, a stranger, a line in a book. You might start seeing the same number, 1111, 222, 333, until it becomes impossible to call it coincidence. This is called energetic synchronicity, when the field tries to get your attention by repeating patterns. It's not because the universe is trying to confuse you. It's because repetition is the language of resonance. If something repeats, it's vibrating. If it vibrates, it's alive. And if it's alive in your field, it's trying to teach you something. And then there's the feeling, that quiet unease, a soft anxiety that has no name and no cause. It's not fear, it's misalignment. You're not in danger. You're just not where you're supposed to be, energetically. You're off course, and your body knows it. Your breath shortens, your chest tightens, your attention drifts. You try to ground yourself, but the ground doesn't feel solid. These are not random. These are not just moods. They are signals, early warnings, not from your mind, but from the field itself. And the longer you ignore them, the more intense they become. The quantum field doesn't punish, but it does persist. When you don't respond to the whispers, the volume rises. What starts as a subtle disruption becomes emotional turbulence, then physical symptoms, then life events. Not because the universe is against you, but because it's trying to realign you. And so the real question isn't, why is this happening? The real question is, what is this trying to show me? Because once you learn to recognize the subtle, you no longer need the storm. But if you don't, if you continue to tune it out, to numb, to rationalize, the field will escalate. And that's what we'll explore next. What happens when the signs get louder, when the whispers turn into disruption, and the field no longer lets you ignore the truth you've been avoiding. The quantum field always starts with whispers, but when you don't listen, when you keep pushing through, numbing out, brushing off the signals, it doesn't give up. It gets louder. What begins as subtle unease turns into friction. Suddenly you find yourself snapping at people for no reason. You lose your patience over the smallest things. The tone of someone's voice irritates you. Traffic feels unbearable. Conversations drain you. You don't know why you're angry. You just are. These aren't just mood swings. They're energetic buildups. When you ignore misalignment long enough, your system starts to overflow. And that overflow needs somewhere to go. So it leaks. Sometimes it leaks into your body. You begin to feel physical symptoms that no doctor can explain. Fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. Chest pressure without medical cause. Digestive issues, tension headaches, strange pains that come and go. It's not that the body is broken. It's that it's overloaded with unresolved energy. Energy you refused to feel when it was still quiet. And then the field shifts your environment. Suddenly, the things that once held you together begin to fall apart. Relationships that felt solid begin to crack. Friendships fade without explanation. People trigger you more easily. Communication breaks down. At work, things stall. Plans unravel. Projects collapse. The more you try to hold everything together, the more it slips through your hands. It's easy to call it bad luck or blame it on circumstances. But what if this collapse is not a breakdown, but a realignment? When your energy becomes too misaligned with your path, the field responds by rearranging your life around you, not to punish you, but to bring you back into coherence. It removes what's no longer vibrating at your frequency. It creates space, not to destroy, but to rebuild. You see, the quantum field isn't vengeful. It doesn't operate on morality. It operates on resonance. It's like a GPS system. When you take a wrong turn, it doesn't yell at you or shut down. It simply reroutes. It recalculates. And if you ignore the rerouting long enough, you'll end up so far off course, you won't even recognize where you are anymore. This is why things feel like they fall apart when you don't listen. It's not chaos, it's correction. But correction can feel brutal when you're clinging to what no longer fits. And the longer you resist, the harder it hits. The key is not to fear these breakdowns, but to read them. They are data, feedback. The field doesn't scream for no reason. It only gets loud when it's the only way left to get your attention. And that brings us to a powerful shift in perspective. What if the problem isn't what the field is doing to you, but what you've been unconsciously broadcasting into it? Because maybe, just maybe, you're not the victim of the distortion. Maybe you're the source, and that's exactly what we'll explore next. It's easy to fall into the belief that life is working against you. When things keep going wrong, when relationships fall apart, when nothing flows the way it used to, a quiet thought starts to form. Maybe the universe is punishing me. Maybe I'm cursed. Maybe this is just my bad karma playing out. That belief is more common than we admit, and more disempowering than we realize. Because here's the truth. The universe isn't against you. The quantum field isn't punishing you. It's simply reflecting you. And the difference between those two ideas changes everything. You're not living in a system of reward and punishment. You're living in a field of resonance and response. This field doesn't judge your choices. It doesn't measure your worth. And it doesn't keep score. It responds instantly and accurately to the frequency you broadcast. That's it. It's a mirror, not a master. And like any mirror, it can only show you what you are putting in front of it. Every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every choice you make, these are all energetic signals. Whether you're aware of it or not, you are constantly transmitting. You're sending out frequencies into the field, and the field in turn is responding with matching feedback. Feel small long enough, and your external world will start to shrink. Carry unprocessed resentment, and situations will arise that reflect that unresolved emotion back to you. Live in fear, and you'll notice fear all around you. But here's the key. It's not because life wants you to suffer. It's because the field is showing you, in real time, the vibrational story you're living. Not to punish, to reveal, to clarify, to offer you a chance to shift. The moment you understand that you're not a victim of reality but a participant in its creation, you take your power back. Not in some abstract, mystical sense, but in a grounded, energetic one. The signals you receive are only ever as distorted as the signals you send. Change what you broadcast, and what comes back must also change. This isn't magic, it's feedback. Think of it like the dashboard warning light in your car. When that little oil light flashes, it's not because the car hates you. It's not because you're unworthy. It's because something needs attention. Something needs to be addressed. The system isn't attacking you, it's informing you. The field works the same way. If something in your life feels painful, misaligned, or chaotic, the field isn't saying you failed. It's saying, look here. The signal is distorted, not because you're broken, but because something wants to realign. Something is ready to be healed. You are not here to suffer. You are here to remember your power as a co-creator. And the field, far from being your enemy, is your most honest ally. It will always show you exactly where your vibration is, without bias, without judgment, and without delay. And once you begin to listen without fear, something incredible happens. You stop blaming the reflection, you stop fighting the signal, and you start asking a different question. What is this teaching me about myself? Because once you realize you are the broadcaster, not the victim, your entire relationship with reality begins to shift. And when that shift begins, the science becomes personal, which is exactly what we'll explore next. At this point, it's fair to ask, is any of this real? Can you actually measure these invisible signals? The energy you broadcast, the field you interact with, the subtle warnings it sends? Or is this all just a poetic way of talking about mood and intuition? Science, in fact, has already begun to catch up with what mystics have known for centuries. And one of the most fascinating areas of research comes from the HeartMath Institute. Their findings? Your heart isn't just a pump. It's an energetic sensor, a transmitter, a field-based organ capable of picking up electromagnetic information from the environment and even from other people before your conscious brain does. HeartMath studies show that the heart emits an electromagnetic field thousands of times stronger than the brain's. More importantly, it can detect changes in another person's field within a close range, even without visual, verbal, or physical cues. Your heart literally feels the frequency of others before your mind interprets what's going on. It reacts to the subtle shifts in emotional energy, to coherence or chaos, long before you know why you're uncomfortable. This explains why you sometimes feel weird around someone, even if they haven't said a word. The field is already in communication. But it doesn't stop there. Let's zoom out. From the individual to the collective, the Global Consciousness Project, based out of Princeton University, has been quietly collecting data for decades using devices called random event generators, REGs. These machines are designed to produce random patterns like flipping a coin endlessly. Under normal conditions, they spit out unpredictability. But something strange happens when large numbers of people focus their attention at the same time, during massive events like terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or global meditations. On September 11, 2001, hours before the first plane hit, several of these regs began to shift out of randomness. The data showed patterns, coherent, structured activity before any news broke. Similar anomalies were detected during the 2004 tsunami, global New Year's celebrations, and presidential elections. What this suggests is that collective human consciousness, our shared field of attention, can influence physical systems. Think about that. Machines, designed to be random, begin to behave non-randomly when human emotion floods the collective space. Somehow the field between us responds. Still skeptical? Consider the famous random number generator experiments conducted in lab settings. In these trials, people were asked to focus their intention on influencing the output of a machine generating ones and zeros. Statistically, it should be impossible to alter it. But again and again, Results show that concentrated human thought, directed intention, can cause measurable deviations. Not massive ones, but statistically significant. Enough to prove a simple truth. Consciousness affects reality, not metaphorically, not spiritually, measurably. So when we talk about the quantum field reflecting your inner state, we're not dealing with fantasy. We're dealing with energy, feedback, and fields of information that science is now beginning to measure. Fields your body and heart have always known were there. And that means the signals you feel, the intuition, the discomfort, the synchronicities, aren't just soft emotions or coincidences. They are responses, patterns, vibrations, warnings and guidance encoded in the structure of reality itself. The only question is, what will you do with that awareness? Because in the next and final section, we'll explore exactly that. Not just what the field is saying, but how you begin to live in alignment with it, consciously, clearly, and without fear. By now you've come to recognize that the signals are real. The subtle warnings, the internal nudges, the repeating patterns, the emotional dissonance. The field speaks. And the truth is, if you're hearing the message, you're ready for the shift. But awareness is just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you respond. So what exactly do you do when the quantum field starts sending you signals that something is off? First and most importantly, you stop. Not forever, not dramatically, just long enough to disrupt the automatic cycle of reaction. Most of us are conditioned to push through, to override our discomfort, to stay productive even when something inside is screaming for attention. But discomfort isn't the problem, it's the compass. When you feel that quiet anxiety, that inexplicable tightness in your chest, that persistent fatigue that sleep can't fix, the worst thing you can do is ignore it. These aren't signs of failure. They're data. They're feedback. And feedback isn't there to hurt you. It's there to redirect you. That's why the first response must be stillness. To pause, even briefly, is to acknowledge the signal. It tells your nervous system, I'm listening now. And that shift alone begins to soften the inner resistance that keeps energy trapped. In that pause, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Instead ask, what is my body trying to say? What is my field trying to show me? This shift in framing begins the realignment. The next step is to turn inward, not in fear, but with curiosity. In a world obsessed with external solutions, internal listening has become a lost art. But your answers don't lie outside you. They lie in your state, and your state is something you can feel, track, and influence. The most accessible tool for this is the breath. Conscious breathing regulates the nervous system and anchors awareness into the present. Try box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Repeat for just a few minutes. Why does this matter? Because breath controls rhythm, and rhythm restores coherence. When your breathing slows, your brainwaves follow, your heart rate sinks, and slowly, your internal system begins to re-enter harmony. Once you've created stillness, invite observation. Sit quietly and scan your emotional landscape. Don't label what you feel, just notice it. If sadness arises, let it. If anger flickers, observe without attachment. What you allow to move will move. What you suppress stays stuck. This is why so many people stay energetically blocked. They avoid the feeling, and by doing so, they amplify the signal. Another powerful practice is energy journaling. Unlike traditional journaling, this isn't about what happened. It's about how you felt. Track your energy through the day. What moments expanded you? What drained you? When did your body feel light? When did it contract? This trains your awareness to become precise. It teaches your mind to recognize vibrational shifts in real time. And once you can recognize, you can adjust. Also, don't underestimate the value of patterns, especially the ones that repeat. A specific number sequence, a name that keeps showing up, a phrase you hear 3 times in 1 week. These are synchronicities, and they're not random. The field uses repetition to get your attention. You don't need to interpret everything. You just need to acknowledge, this is here. I'm paying attention. That simple shift, respecting the signal, creates coherence. Once you've tuned in, it's time to raise your frequency. Not through forced positivity, but through intentional coherence. And coherence isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing energy states that bring you back into alignment. The most powerful tool for this is nature. Nature holds an unshakable vibrational rhythm. When you walk barefoot on grass, or lie under the sky, or sit near water, you are literally syncing your body's electrical system to the Earth's frequency. This is not metaphor, it's electromagnetic truth. Grounding reduces inflammation. It balances cortisol. It quiets the overactive mind. Just 10 minutes a day in natural space can reset your entire field. Another way to increase frequency is heart-focused connection. Your heart is the most powerful electromagnetic generator in your body. When you generate states like gratitude, compassion, or awe, your heart field becomes coherent, and that coherence influences every other system in your body. The practice is simple. Close your eyes, breathe into your heart space, and recall a moment you felt truly grateful. Let that feeling expand. Stay with it. Just 90 seconds of sustained heart-based emotion can shift your entire energetic signature. And then there's movement. Don't think of it as exercise. Think of it as energy flow. Stretch, shake, dance. Walk slowly with full awareness. Movement unblocks stagnation. When energy can't move, symptoms appear. Physical action helps the field restabilize your pattern. Don't wait until the signal becomes pain. Move now before it hardens. Finally, integrate stillness into your life. Stillness is not about emptying the mind. It's about creating space for alignment. In stillness, you stop vibrating in reaction and start vibrating in intention. Even 5 minutes a day in silence, without stimulation, teaches your system to self-regulate. It rebuilds your intuitive sensitivity, the part of you that can feel the field before the mind interferes. Every method you practice, breath, journaling, grounding, movement, silence, they all have one goal: to help you remember your place in the field, to pull your attention back from the noise and into the signal, to make your life less about effort and more about alignment. Because when you respond to the warning signs, not with fear, but with presence, you stop being a reactor and become a resonator. You stop chasing solutions and start living from signal. And that is the moment when the field stops trying to wake you up, because now finally you are awake. You were never disconnected. You were never broken. You were simply out of tune for a while. Like an instrument that hasn't been played, your frequency needed remembering. And the field, subtle, silent, unwavering, was always there, waiting for you to notice the signal. Every moment of discomfort wasn't a punishment. It was a message. Every pattern that kept repeating wasn't random. It was a mirror. Every loss, every delay, every strange unease was part of the process of pulling you back into alignment with something deeper, something real. Now you know how to listen. Now you know how to respond, not by chasing, not by fixing, but by tuning gently, clearly, consistently back into the frequency of who you truly are. Because when you live in coherence with the field, life stops feeling like a struggle. It starts to feel like remembering, returning, resonating. So if this message stirred something in you, if you felt seen or remembered or gently called back to yourself, leave a single word in the comments, just one. Let it represent the energy you're stepping into now. Maybe that word is clarity, or alignment, or home. Let that word be your signal and your promise. And if you're ready to keep walking this path, not just of watching, but of vibrating with truth, then subscribe, not just to this channel, but to the frequency it holds, the frequency that brought you here, the frequency you've always carried within, because you're not waiting anymore. You're tuning, and the field is already listening.